TV.
Welcome to Burnley. Famous Burnley offices here, as you can see by this very famous, well-known mirror, complete with our old logo. In the run-up to the Panorama programme, which is due out on Monday the 10th of October, I'm going to ask Nick one or two questions about the background of this, because we're going to be in for a bit of a slating from Panorama. You'd expect nothing else, but the background is this is the third BBC Panorama expose of the British National Party in 10 years, and they've justified this by saying that we are a major political party. Question time. You're not invited on very often, are you?
No, indeed not. According to their own rules, as they were just before we got elected as MEPs, we should have been entitled at that point to at least two appearances per year. And in 2.5 years we've had one. And that, of course, wasn't question time at all. The first time in 34 years, it was a totally different format. And when I say at least, when, for instance, a story such as the Muslim grooming issue broke, that's the point at which, because it was my issue, I was nearly sent to prison for talking about that issue, that's the point at which we should have got something extra. And probably the same also with the riots. This was a clear failure of the Multicultural Society. Again, that was the time at which, when they said at least two, that's precisely the time when the BBC, under their own rulings, would have said, right now, this is relevant to this party. So we should actually have been on 5, 6, 7 times at least. And we've had one, and that wasn't a proper system either. And then they say, oh, it's because you're only small. But, no one else gets exposed on Panorama like we do.
No, I think the first one, it wasn't just question time, it was Inquisition time would have been the best thing. But, I mean, you mentioned they nearly sent you to prison for the undercover bugging operation that they did on the party. Yes, I was there, Nick. I was there twice. I nearly took over when they sent you to prison if they had done. But ridiculous giving Jack Straw that kind of coverage. Part of the Labour Party that tried to, with the BBC, have you sent to prison. But even more ridiculous, question time in Salford, following on from Liverpool, again in your European constituency of the North West, we've got Billy Bloody Bragg taking your place. This is a man who's stated in the paper that he wanted to duff up BNP members. I mean, what does this say about the BBC?
And a man who's never had a vote for anything in his life. We're backed by 1 million voters, as you say, in Salford and in Liverpool. It's in my parliamentary constituency. We just had, a few weeks ago, the riots again, even in Salford. Of course we should have been there. And what it says about the BBC is that they've given up any pretence of being fair and objective. It's just naked, blatant propaganda. And the Panorama attack on us, obviously we don't still know exactly which issues they're going to raise. But out of the questions that they threw against us, we're talking about, it's a mass of little tiny sticks of flimsy allegations, or at the very best, bits of old news, which were news a year ago. And we're talking, they're saying, oh, well, is the BNP in debt? How much? Well, I'll tell you what, it's a damn sight less in debt than the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, the Lib Dems, and this country as a whole, which they've made a mess of. It's out of all proportion. And they're determined to get rid of us. And they're so consumed by hatred and their own leftist bigotry that they can't even see that actually I don't think they're being sensible. If they really think the public are going to fall for this and think it's objective, they're going to have a horrible shock when the public yet again see, well, this is just the BBC picking on the British National Party, because fundamentally the BBC is the founder of political correctness in Britain, and as you know, we're anti-political correctness, more than anybody else in the country.
It's going to smack like that. You'd have thought they could have seen that. Having said that, it is ostensibly going to look bad for us. We must prepare our members for some of these things. These people have got millions of pounds in budget, editorial software, staff and whatever. That's our money as well. That's the thing. The big difference is this is our members' money. It's our money as well. The BBC is actually using public money, isn't it? I mean, that's the big difference here, and we have to pay it.
Yeah, and we've got to get hammered because Panorama isn't an objective, fair programme. It's got a truly shocking track record of basically news of the world style journalism, where they come up with lurid stories, then they sex them up, and then time and time again people have actually sued them, or at least threatened to sue them, and they've been huge payouts, up to £1 million and so on. £4 million in one case. Unbelievable amounts of, as you say, licence payers' money, taxpayers' money, and that's their business model. They come up with the sensationalism, they get the audience, and the poor taxpayer has to pay. And I'm quite confident they're going to do that to us on Monday. it's going to be a shocking catalogue, but in the end it's only about, well, we say they've done this wrong and a paid grass says they've done that wrong and so on. In the end it's only got one core message, and that is to say, look, the British National Party is finished. Well, if we were finished, why would they bother actually telling people about it and so on? And of course, we're not finished. They're saying we're unpopular. Well, all the smaller parties have suffered a dip in votes since the last election. UKIP had a by-election not that long ago in Newcastle under Lyme, where in a seat they'd once hoped to take, their vote dropped from something like 26% to 4%. So all the smaller parties are somehow getting squeezed, I think, by people being so concerned with making ends meet in the appalling financial situation the country is now in, that they're sort of at present temporarily giving up on party politics. But that's where the BBC is ignoring those things, coming in with a message that we and we alone are finished, and we certainly aren't. And I don't know if you've seen the fantastic response we've had to the new Greater London Assembly leaflet. Great responses down in London, but everyone around the country so enthusiastic about it that by the time the programme goes out, we'll have rolling on the printing presses a complete run of a version of that leaflet adapted for use around the country, and everyone who's been out on the stalls, the referendum campaign stalls, or before that the Bring Our Boys Home from Afghanistan campaign, knows perfectly well that in terms of soft support and sympathy, this party's got more than ever before out there in the country. And the BBC might like to think we're going away, but I'll be here, you'll be here, the whole party is still going to be there, plugging away in an increasingly fertile ground for us, and far from going away or fading away, we're going to be back with a bang.